Hey, before we get started, I did, and I don't know if I'll keep this in, but I just wanted to ask if you had seen the Last of Us remake at all, or
That it's happening? Yeah, I saw that it's happening.
that annoys
Uh,
me.
that they're remaking. So they already did a remaster for the
Yeah, the
PS4,
version
and
that
that
most
also
people played.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
also of course runs on the PS5.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
I
there's no
guess
actual reason.
they're just sticking it in the new engine.
Yeah, they're remaking the original game in the second game's engine and calling it Last of Us Part One.
I mean, like, okay, so blah blah blah. This is what you're offering for your new console. Are you fucking kidding me? The old game still looks good, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
also, just like, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna fix the retconning. Like, they're gonna make that doctor not just a
Oh, they're gonna
random.
actually make him the model of uh, what's her name?
Yeah, Abby's dad.
Abby's dad instead of like an Asian guy,
Yeah, I just
which
hate.
she is in the original game.
I just hate like it's I don't know, I guess it's like George Lucas scene or whatever. It's like, no, don't hide that you were making this shit up as you went along.
Yeah, like that doctor is just a generic character model, and that's because you didn't realize he was going to matter until you made the second game.
It's like not even I'm like not even mad. It's just like I think it's always more fun because you get to see the creative process. It's like, okay, they came up with this instead having it all perfect. But there's also they said they're going to port this version to PC. And so now this is going to be the de facto version when people play this like 20 years later.
Right, they're going to be playing Part One
And not the version that people actually played and
at
fell
the
in love
time.
with. Yeah, that changed
Yeah,
everything. Like,
no, they're not going to be getting the Citizen Kane of gaming. They're going to be getting this remake of the Citizen Kane of gaming made to make it more like Citizen Kane 2, which is the actual reason there can't be a Citizen Kane of gaming.
exactly.
That's the actual reason, is that like because this shit doesn't happen with real movies.
Damn, did you download the widescreen patch for Lighthouse?
I guess that did happen with Cats. Remember when they
I
released
get
like
with
because the
with
CG was
visual
unfinished?
effects, which visual effects, it is getting more like that, where it's
Yeah,
like,
where it's like, oh, sorry, this effect was unfinished. Here's the finished movie.
I mean, and you just go to like George Lucas, like, because we updated the Yoda model, you know.
Yeah, where it's like, you released that movie already. It's over. Stop. You already did it. And it's like, but here it's not for The Last of Us remake. No one was asking for this. It's not like they're fixing anything.
In video games, we all get to be George Lucas.
This is like a script. It's not a game script. It's a script.
Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
Because the most subtle nuances of emotions could be seen on screen. With the PlayStation 4, games have now finally reached that stage.
This is the Citizen Game
In
Podcast.
podcast where a podcast where my podcast co-host forced me to play Kane and Lynch 2. There's nothing more nihilistic and violent than that.
By forced you, I bought you a Steam key, and I say,
Yes.
"Hey, what's up?" And I was shocked when you agreed to play Kane and Lynch 2 with me.
Yes. Well, look.
The question is this a prestige game? And the answer is
Yes.
fuck you is the answer.
No,
I don't know.
Oh, what it absolutely is. If our definition of prestige game is like, maybe it's not high budget enough to fit our usual definition, but like, it's trying to be a movie. Absolutely, it's trying to be a movie.
Okay, so the thing I was working, because it's always been a weird, slippery thing to try and define. But what pops in my feed on YouTube, and you'll have to tell me if you've seen this, but if you just search up the phrase, "it's just a game" on YouTube, you will get this very sad and insecure, like multiple types of this, very sad and insecure compilations of quote unquote emotional scenes from video games. As in, the video is responding to someone saying it's just a game.
Like a hypothetical person.
Yes. They get to be the soy Wojak to you, the Chad.
The Chad Wojak, because you felt bad when
Dom's wife died.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of, like, Red Dead Redemption 2, I saw, like, Detroit Become Human, and, like, some of them, of course, are good, but the idea is, like, look, no, this is a mature medium because, you know, fully acted cutscenes that I'm not a baby, I'm not a man-child, okay? Fuck you. And that is a prestige game.
Yes. Well then, applying that to Kane and Lynch too.
Well, okay, so I don't want to get into... We'll get into, like, videos about this, but there are stands for this game.
There are?
But, yeah, there are. And... How about some general thoughts? What do you think of this game, Ryan?
It was physically painful to play. Like, the shooting felt terrible. Anytime you use the sprint button, you want to throw up. And the whole game is just disgusting to look at. And that's why it's a 10 out of 10.
I think I talked to you about this while we were playing it. And we went back to, we talked about Rich Evans demeaning the beloved Uncharted series, where saying that creators basically go, okay, what should this movie game be? I don't know, a third-person shooter? And that I actually feel is correct in this. Or at least people kind of go with, like, if you do third-person shooting in this kind of Gears of War style, there has to be, like, an added value of some sort. And that added value in Uncharted is, of course, like, good set piece and cutscenes. And the added value here is it makes you feel sick to your stomach.
Yeah, because, and this is more of it trying to be a movie, it tries to be a found footage shaky cam movie. Except it's not, because there's not actually an in-universe camera, I don't think.
It's just an aesthetic.
Except for the one time when it's not, which is when you're arrested and the cop reaches out and grabs the camera.
I mean, the camera exists, but there's not really an explanation for
who's holding it.
Yeah, and they don't speak to a guy like he's there. No,
there's never any acknowledgement. But the game seems to presume there is a third character holding a camera during the entire events of the game, even though that character is never actually referenced in the story.
My brain is going all over the place of, like, found footage stuff, and I'm thinking about, I guess Skate 2 is a found footage game then, because there is a camera guy who follows you, and he talks to you, and he yells at you when you mess up. So there you go. We got two games and the found.
But that's different than this game. Because
Clearly,
that means
yes.
the cameraman actually exists.
Yeah. So it's just an aesthetic to make you feel sick to your stomach. So have you ever played fucking Outlast?
No.
I like that game, and you can kind of call it a found footage game, but the gimmick is that you have a camera,
right? But you're not seeing through the camera. I've seen videos of people play Outlast.
Yeah, you are and you aren't.
But you can put it down.
You're seeing through the character's eyes.
Yeah, but sometimes the character looks through a camera, and sometimes he doesn't. But in this game, it's more like you're watching like a recording, like a true found footage movie. Because there's the gag where every time you get a headshot, it gets censored.
Right.
And so all nudity in the game is also censored. As if this has been edited later. Like edited for broadcast.
You know, maybe the missing, like, gag at the end should have been like, oh, it turns out this was being played during like a trial.
Like the camera pulls back, and it was actually this shitty old TV, and they're on trial.
Yeah, and it just cuts to like just a completely devastated jury. Like, oh my fucking god, people are like throwing up.
Yeah.
So okay, do you remember anything about the plot at all?
I don't really remember it. So the whole thing is they're trying to ship guns to Africa.
They're making a deal.
But that doesn't matter and never actually happens. Because
they're making a deal and they kill someone important.
They're finding this guy who I don't remember who the guy is or why he matters. But that guy is sleeping with the daughter of this big crime boss, and they accidentally kill the daughter in the process of killing the guy. And then the rest of the game is just that crime boss trying to kill them.
Yeah, this game is like all aesthetic or whatever, like no plot and that makes it a little bit different. Just like, yeah, there's the plot, and then from there on they're running and shooting dudes.
I don't really agree with that. Like, there is a plot. It's a very action heavy plot, but it's not a pure excuse.
There's apparently way less plot in this game than the original game, which never ever play, probably.
I'm not going to. Apparently it's not as bad from what I've seen. It's longer for one, because a lot of people because this game's only about 3 hours.
Yeah, this game
people were pissed about that.
Did not pass the vibe check. I don't know, the bare minimum of like a product of this
that you would pay. That you would, like, you bought this game for me. I didn't pay for it. How much did you pay for it?
$2.
Okay, but if you'd paid, how much was this game originally retailed for?
Probably $60.
Hang on.
They were marketing the hell out of this.
They were. I mean, they fired.
Okay, so
I went on to found Giant Bomb for giving it a bad review.
Jeff Gertzman. Yeah. I was looking up reviews at the time of this game, and so I just pulled up like the IGN review, and it is kind of hilarious because it's clearly a man who hated this game, but said the bare minimum because he was scared of being fired.
Yeah.
He gave the game a 7 out of 10.
Oh, so...
and he said, he was basically like, it's good for like a weekend romp or something, while clearly barely having anything nice to say about it.
Right. Well, that's the whole joke about IGN, that they have a 4-point scale.
Yes,
like 6 is the bare minimum, is the bottom.
To me, it seemed very clear, like very specific with this game, as like I don't even want to touch this game. It's because, very matter of fact, and like
one person already got fired for giving it a bad review because of how much was spent on
the first game.
Was it the first game?
It was the first game. It was the first game so this came after in that so
but it was known that like this company
fired a dude.
Yes, you're right.
For not liking Kane and Lynch.
Yes, from GameSpot. So like there's a climate of fear.
There's a chilling effect.
Yes, around Kane and Lynch because
oh god,
they've already gotten one person fired.
So were you able to find at all the price?
No, I can't find what the original listed price would be.
Okay, well, I don't
think it would have been 60. I think it would have been like 50 or 40.
Whatever it was still probably too
whatever
much.
It was too high, and I'd be pissed off if I paid it.
Yeah, and I'm not, normally one to get upset about hours, but I mean, 3 hours for a big budget title, that's a hard sell. Okay, so as I've tried to show you, there's been a little bit of a critical re-examination of this game. Basically from Jacob Geller, because then a lot of copycat / that movie or that video did numbers, So people started talking about the game again. With the basic idea, to paraphrase, that this game makes you feel like shit, and but that's actually, they did an excellent job of doing that, and that's the aesthetic point, and therefore we should praise it.
Oh, therefore it's good. Oh, great. Oh, good.
I mean, Jacob Geller never explicitly says it's good. He just says, like, it's an experience that you should, that is worth going through, while bringing a bunch of theater of the absurd.
Theater of
stuff.
cruelty, not theater of
cruelty. To further kind of, to show in comparison of, like, how this is just a visceral fucking product. And so what do you think of all that bullshit?
Well, I can guess what you think. Why? Why, in this theory, why is the game doing this?
Wait, why does it exist?
No, why? So, the game is trying to make you feel disgusted. Why?
Does it have to have a why? Is it not, if we're not pushing the boundaries of our artistic medium, sometimes you just want something that makes you feel like shit. It doesn't have to be a good feeling feedback loop.
I agree. But this doesn't make me feel like shit because it's like none of this stuff in the... Okay, so Jacob Geller opens the section to that video talking about Kane and Lynch, talking about how shocking the opening is.
Right.
And no, it's not. Like, I don't feel like shit playing Kane and Lynch because it's so dark.
It's just
so
physiological.
Grimy. It's just like I hate playing it because it feels bad to play.
It makes my eyes hurt.
Yeah. It's not because it's the content of the game is particularly shocking to me. Which it isn't.
It is nasty.
It is hilarious.
But
when you're
like
naked, it's so funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, this isn't like Sallow,
No, that's what I mean. I was thinking of Sallow when I said, like, this isn't Sallow. This isn't like, this isn't Dogtooth or something.
So he talks about, like, the how the guns sound and how everything blows out the speakers and how the LMG sounds. And I think my overall, what I take away from that is this game's combat, and for all of its thrashing, it felt impotent. The guns just don't feel powerful, and the combat doesn't actually feel nasty.
No. The only exception to this is the light machine gun, which is the only fun gun to use in the game, because it's the only one that feels like you're doing anything.
Yeah, I was like, that was the only gun that was kinesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, everything else was just like... Not like... Last of Us Part 2, to go back to that, did do a good job, and Last of Us Part 1 did it too, making the violence feel impactful.
And he kind of... I don't know, did you watch like the Max Payne section, or did you skip over that?
I skipped it because I've not played Max Payne yet.
So I remember it from watching a while ago, and he basically says like that game's nasty, but it actually feels really good to play. And he's like making the distinction of a game that feels like shit, from just like a base mechanics level.
Uh-huh.
It had the balls to actually feel like shit. And it's like, yeah,
not be fun.
I can kind of see that, but I don't know. It just doesn't work because I don't feel anything except dizzy because the camera's shaking. And I get that is kind of, I'm just talking about how I feel. But like a better example of that is fucking... There's a horror game, a pretty small one, an indie one called Anatomy, where you explore a creepy house. And that game like starts glitching out and things like start like textures and like walls start phasing through each other in a very gamey, glitchy way, and that makes it creepy. It's like leaning into like those bullshit creepypastas like Ben Drowned, where it's like, oh, the game is fucked up, which kind of makes it creepy, and it totally works. It's like that classic. I know, no, but I was like, my point is just like, it's this distinction between like depicting the thing and actually being the thing, and sometimes it works, and sometimes, like when a movie is supposed to depict something being boring versus actually making you bored, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's mainstream enough in gaming that it shows up in Arkham Asylum. The fake crash in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that's still a little bit different, because when you look at like a screenshot of it, the game I'm talking about, it's like, oh, someone like fucked up their Unity build. Like, that's what it looks like. And so I don't know what would actually work to actually make this game feel impactful. And because I mean, there's something there, okay? Like, it is bold that it's got all this jarring camera bullshit and everything, but I'm not left with like a feeling. I'm just left with just kind of boredom and tedium.
Like, that's what I mean. And when I say, why is it doing this? And that it feels like it's not going anywhere. The theater of cruelty, or the theater of the absurd, or sort of Brecht's theater of alienation. These things that are meant to be off-putting, they generally had some point about capitalism or modernity.
Which this game totally has.
I know Geller kind of tries to argue that. But I don't agree with that.
Because the bad guy is a businessman who deals weapons, I guess? I don't know.
But so are you.
Everyone's a piece of shit in this thing.
Yes. But what does that matter?
You need, like, for there to be, like, something. It feels like there needs to be just a bit more, like, meat on the bone of the story. Just, like, a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's so... Like, a game that has this, like, it's not quite, like, a straight-up excuse plot or whatever, but a game that has very minimal plot, also having very unengaging gameplay, even if both of those are on purpose, kind of means that your game is just nothing. You kind of have just a nothing game.
It is ash in the mouth. There's no flavor, no sauce, no spice. Despite all this kicking and screaming and yelling.
Sound and fury signifying nothing.
Yeah, yes.
No, it's true.
Signifying maybe something, I don't know, but who cares? Because I'm bored. I watched some of like other people talking about this game, and a more hilarious one was by someone by the name of Leadhead, who said she likes to play this game in 720p because it makes it even grainier and nastier, and that everybody should play this game.
Wow. And
I was like, I don't know about that. And then the funniest one to me was a video by, I think the guy's name is DX or something, where he didn't like this game, but he thought the first one was good.
Yeah.
And praised it for its mature storytelling. Which I guess I haven't played that, but I'm gonna fucking guess that game does not actually... Yeah, it's mature as in, like, I guess everybody's a piece of shit, but, you know... I feel like I've got a good grasp on what that maturity is, despite not really even playing or looking up footage of that game. Lynch goes crazy and kills random people.
Oh, wow.
He's so quirky.
Yeah. Lynch,
or fuck it, whatever.
Whichever one is.
They're both.
Who cares? There's no meaningful difference.
They're both quirked up. Okay, but the bald guy is more quirked up. Clearly. All right. Do you have anything else to add?
I'm trying to think. Like this theater of the absurd or theater of cruelty stuff is a pretty weak argument in my opinion. Not that it's necessarily that bad. Like the game's unpleasant, and I kind of do recommend it actually.
No, wait, why?
I recommend you play it so you understand what a truly bad game looks like. Because I think people need to understand.
Yeah, and that was clipped from what we were talking about earlier, like how much better Tomb Raider is. And it's like, it had been a while since I played like just a bad game. And I was like, oh yeah, it takes work to reach the blistering heights of mediocrity. Acceptable.
Like, it makes you appreciate how much, someone said if you make a movie, you can understand how it's a miracle any movies ever get made. And playing this game will make you understand, like, it is a miracle that any games are playable.
Yes, especially at this size and scope.
Yeah, I mean, the scope of this is pretty small.
Well, it is and it isn't, because it is 3 hours, but at the same time, they've got fucking, like, mocap actors and, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it's something you'll probably never see again, because we just don't... Our single-player story games gotta be at least in, like, the 20-hour mark, if they're, like, AAA. I think my only last thought is, we're gonna this is just a little short episode. We're gonna talk about Spec Ops: The Line next,
which is also a game that does some similar things to this, or at least what people think this one did.
Yes, and that does make me feel bad, like on a mechanical level, but it doesn't. It makes me feel stuff like from the feeling of the controls, and the thing is like, yeah, I guess it can kind of make you feel like shit, but not because the mechanics are shit. Because they had some deliberate design. Every guns still feel impactful. It reaches that minimum of a game that feels engaging to play. All right, you want to wrap it up?
A final thought is, actually, I'm not kidding. Play Kane and Lynch 2. Don't walk to Steam and play Kane and Lynch 2.
Do not play this.
Actually play this game.
If you do play it though, bring a friend.
Yeah, it's way more fun to suffer.